What is going on, everyone? Mike Sparacino here, a.k.a. Shades, alongside my co-host Brendan Mulroy, a.k.a. Mulgoon, a.k.a. The Big Goon, and we are back after a long layoff, back with another episode of Backup Blueshirts.
Our usual long layoff. Had to dust off the equipment.
Almost literally. had to dust off, what is the name of this book right here, Brendan, that we got open right now?
It's New York Rangers Greatest Moments and Players.
Had to bust that out right before the podcast. Literally had to dust it off because it was sitting in my room for God knows how long.
So we dusted that off for some information, which we'll get to in a little bit.
And then we listened to what has now become our essential pre-podcast song of a song by Nickelback called Photograph.
Listen, all know
people
it.
may hate them,
You're
really
know
not
it.
that bad.
You all know it, and you try to pretend like you don't like it, but you know that you know every single lyric to that song because everybody does.
Damn
so
right.
Stop hating.
Stop hating. Just embrace the love.
Also, just a quick note here. This might be the first recording of the podcast that Shades did not get his pre-podcast essentials, which is Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee.
One of Dunkin' Donuts large iced coffee with milk and sugar, or sausage, egg, and cheese on a plain bagel.
So this might be the first recording that we've done where Mike didn't have that beforehand. So if he's not sharp today, we know why.
And I'm not going to make any excuses. If I fuck up, I fuck up. Pulling a Rolling Stones right now. Hey, man, if we mess up, we mess up. That's rock and roll for you. And speaking of podcast essentials, it's episode number 14.
That's right. And, you know, we have to keep it up, and we have to dedicate it to a former Rangers player.
Dedicate each and every episode to a
so
former
I'm going
Rangers
with
player.
one of my boys, one of my favorites of all time, Brendan Shanahan, classic.
I am dedicating this to Brendan Shanahan as well, but also Mr. Jean Rattel.
Who must have wore that before they retired his number as 19. So it was probably like when he first got on the team, I'm assuming.
But, you know,
because
that's why Jesper Fast had to change his number.
That's right. That's exactly why Jesper Fast wears 17 now. And he's lucky Dubinsky still isn't on the team. Because obviously he would have got priority over him. But anyway, speaking of Fast, this just goes off. I just want to bring this up because this is absolutely hilarious. That NHL Be a Pro season that I'm playing right now in NHL 19, Jesper Fast is the captain.
Jesper Fast is the captain.
Jesper Fast is our captain, who has gotten injured more than 3 or 4 times already in the season. Because every time I sim a game, it gives me an update about Jesper Fast's injury.
Dude, that's what you got to just turn injuries off, man. That's the only way I was able to win the Stanley Cup in franchise mode. Injuries off.
But not to get off topic.
But
I just had to bring that up because that was hilarious.
Oh, that is hilarious. But we do have a action-packed episode today.
Yeah, we finally got some action-packed Rangers news. I mean, obviously we'll get to the Cup Final later, but we got what do you want to start with on the Rangers front? You want to start with the signings? Because I mean, the last time
let's do it.
The last little Rangers news we had was with the draft lottery.
Kakko, baby.
So hopefully the Rangers get him. We'll get to him in a little bit too. But
Kakko, baby.
Start with the signings, Mike. Do us the honor.
First off, let's talk about the trading and signing of Harvard defenseman, runner-up for the Hobey Baker Award, Mr. Adam Fox.
Woo!
Pionk is gone. That was the first thing I said when we traded for him. I'm like, yep, Pionk's definitely gone. But hey, man, highly skilled offensive defenseman. You know, because we already have like 4 of those.
Honestly, I just really hope that this offensive defenseman actually
like pans
works
out this time.
Yeah. So
Shattenkirk has been no. Pionk has shown flashes, but overall really just has not been that good.
I mean, I don't know if I'm crazy to say this,
opinion.
but I honestly think our best offensive defenseman right now might be Tony D.
D'Angelo, baby.
Might be Tony D, baby.
And,
Puts pucks on net.
And he's Sicilian.
That's right.
Fucking pride right there.
I can't say the same because I'm Irish, but
if you're Sicilian, you're my boy. Putting that out there right now.
Tony D.
You know, unless you're like in prison or something.
But yeah, I mean, as a fan, you got to be pretty hyped up on that. Like you said, I mean,
what did we trade? A second and a third rounder, right? As my dad's phone goes off.
I think so. Yeah. Just in terms of,
if you guys hear that,
just in terms of the talent though. I mean, high end prospect finally. defensive front, so that's definitely going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's funny, though, because as my computer freezes for a second, because we traded for a guy who we could have waited a year and possibly signed him, but Gordon said, no, we want him and we want him now, so I love that he made the trade for him.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny with those college guys anyway, because I feel like a lot of them, like, when they have that choice, like, to make a team anyway, they're like, fuck it, I want to go to the Rangers anyway. So I feel like they have that.
A.K.A. Kevin Hayes.
Yeah, but I feel like they have.
A.K.A. Jimmy Vesey.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like these guys always want to come to the Rangers. But, I mean, listen, when they have their eyes on somebody, and I guess they just didn't want to let them go. So.
And I love how there's a condition on one of the picks saying it becomes a... Oh, wait, I think it's next year's pick, the third rounder. I think it becomes a second-round pick if Fox plays like 30 games. So I'm just like, yeah, he's playing 30 games.
So you think he's going to be in the lineup this season, in other words?
Even if he doesn't make the lineup out of camp, yes.
A.K.A.
if we don't trade Pionk, he's probably going to start in Hartford. I'm going to keep this narrative all episode because I think I think he's a goner.
All right.
I really do. And so next up, in no particular order, we signed our 3 Russian boys, Igor Rykov, Vitaly Kravtsov, and Henrik 2.0, possibly, Mr. Igor Shesterkin.
Wow. First of all,
the Russian triplets.
First of all, what pronunciation by the kid. Didn't even stutter on that. Just beast. Gets through it. I would have bombed it, so I'm glad that you decided to step up and say them.
Looks like I didn't need the coffee today.
Yeah, listen. But let's not get too confident, all right?
All right. Fair enough.
But yeah, man. Finally bringing these guys over. I guess we're not really too sure what's going to be the deal with them so far, considering we're not too sure what's going to happen if the Rangers make moves at the draft, and if they trade anybody, then are they going to bring?
Oh, we're going to have a lot of thoughts about the draft, no matter what happens.
Definitely, but no, I'm saying, you're not. It's not 100% certain that any of these guys, I guess, are going to play this season. So,
hey, even if they don't, it's still technically a rebuild year, so it's not the worst thing in the world. Let them develop.
Yeah,
and please develop them properly this time.
In all honesty, I think that if the Rangers decide to trade Georgiev, then maybe they'll bring up Shesterkin for a backup role, maybe.
It is going to be interesting to see what happens with the goalies this season, because we have 3 NHL caliber goalies.
So, in all honesty, I mean, definitely if they could trade those guys, at least one of them, like if they trade Georgiev, like he played pretty out of his mind last year.
Yeah,
so
Georgiev straight up for Connor McDavid seems like a pretty fair trade to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely a fair trade. No draft picks, no nothing else. Just Connor McDavid straight up. And
right.
Edmonton Edmonton retains 80% of the salary.
Oh, McDavid.
That would be insane. But oh man,
dude, it's an exciting time to be a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
Well, again.
Yeah,
after everything that went down,
Listen, not that we've ever had to deal with us sucking, really. So 1 year of it. All right, 2 years maybe.
Dude, you want to know why people aren't pissed off? Because of the letter.
That's true. That's true.
Literally open and honest with the fans. I mean,
that's true. You really
can't really ask much more from
your
management.
Well, you can't. You also really can't get mad at that at the same time. How are you going to get mad at that?
Because they were pretty much perfectly on point with it too. So.
Yeah.
Just like, we don't see this core contending. Yeah, you're right. And it showed.
Yeah.
But, hey, man, I'm just waiting until we get back in the playoffs and I can start going absolutely fucking nuts again. Not that I don't do that already at games, but I can't wait to go to another playoff game.
And in all honesty, I mean, going into the season, like, do you really have any expectations of the Rangers even really making the playoffs? Not really.
Not really.
At least me. So even if they play well at all, it's just better for us as fans, because like you said with the letter, you kind of knew it was going to be a rough little patch here. But
rebuilding from a fan standpoint, enjoy the wins, don't stress the losses.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we were looking up on capfriendly.com the other day and projected cap space going into the free agencies.
We got like $20 million.
Yeah, 19, I think it was about $19 million. And like we were talking about just before we started recording, the free agency is deep this year, man. Like
Oh, yeah,
comparing
no,
it to
there's a
last year,
lot.
like
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, we'll get into that more on another episode right after the draft, but oh man.
yeah, no, it's
Holy
looking
crap.
good. It's looking good, obviously, besides the top guys like Duchesne and Panarin and all those guys, but even just going down the line, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, and
So-
we were literally going like 2-3 pages deep, and we're just like, whoa, that guy's available? That's not bad.
So
That's not bad for a team inquiring. All right, so just a little more. We got forwards. We signed forwards Patrick Newell and Jacob Elmer, one of which played with one of the highest-rated prospects in this year's draft, Dylan Cousins, on his wing. And we also signed goalie Adam Huska. And that's, give Hartford some players, give them some depth. Hopefully they pan out to be pretty decent players.
I'm glad you said something on that because honestly, I had no fucking idea who both those guys were.
I mean, I knew who Adam Huska was.
I'm glad you knew it.
Because I read prospect reports once in a while just to see how everybody's doing. He seems to be halfway decent. Not like Georgiev or Shesterkin, but hey, if he turns out to be a starting goalie in Hartford and a pretty good one, I mean, that's not
And
bad.
listen, you never know when you're going to need extra backup goalies. God forbid something happens.
Yeah, literally.
So-
The two things you can never have enough of are defensemen and goalies.
and water.
And water. Yeah, that's very true. You know what? Just because you said that, I am going to take my mic right over here and grab us each a bottle of water if I don't kill myself.
Oh boy, this
oh,
looks
oh
like
boy.
this is not
Oh,
a good
boy.
idea.
Oh, no, I got this. You want to know why? Because I'm Shades.
Well, listen, you
That's
already
why.
got a water over here, Shades. So don't. You
I
already got
do.
one, so you don't. Need
Oh man, I am. See, yep, I needed the coffee. All right. Oh boy.
Oh god. Oh man. Kid lost his headphones now,
And the glasses.
and the glass
And the
kid's
glasses.
a mess. And then he
Oh,
gets it for
man.
himself. He doesn't even pass it over to me. Meanwhile, he already has the water.
Hey, look, I gotta
kid's a
put it down
mess.
for a sec. I gotta settle back in. I gotta put my glasses back on. Gotta pick the headset back up. I gotta put the headset back on. Gotta settle in for a sec. And here's your water, my good sir.
Finally.
And we didn't even mention arguably the most important signing yet. Would you like to do the honors?
Are you talking about John Davidson as president?
JD, baby.
Big JD, baby. And that's actually the reason why we decided to break out the textbook, our Rangers encyclopedia over here that
Damn right.
Mike got me a copy of. Still, he has a copy of it. Then our other friend got me a copy of it, so now I have 2 copies of it. So if anybody wants one,
Hit us up on Twitter. Give us a follow. We'll follow you back, and just private message us, and we can work something out. I'm not looking to sell it. So,
obviously John Davidson.
unless he's looking to sell it, because it's his now.
Obviously John Davidson was before our time, but he's most known for being a Rangers goalie back in '79. Brought the team to the Cup as he was against Montreal. Unfortunately, they didn't win the Cup against Montreal, but
he carried us.
but
to the
he
Stanley
carried
Cup
us to
final
the Cup
on a bummed
on a
left knee.
bum knee that apparently never was able to really recover from.
At
So
least,
kind of,
at least I'm pretty sure it was his left knee.
so he. We'll have to double check whether it was left
Well,
or
it was
right
definitely
knee.
one of his knees, so I'm right in some aspect.
But apparently he wasn't really able to recover from that. And then a lot of Rangers fans know him because he was the color commentator for us for a lot of years,
1994.
especially in '94. Obviously.
This is unbelievable.
So it's great to have him back as Prez. And
Yeah.
we actually, why we broke out the book was because I was so curious to see like what kind of background information that they would have on him. And apparently he was drafted in, damn it, I shouldn't have brought up the draft here. Now I got to open up the book. What was it?
Oh boy, 23 to 26. 23 to 26. I got the pages memorized.
Wait, let's see if I was right. Was it? Ah, damn it. It was 1973 that 1973 he was drafted by the Blues, and the reason I bring this up,
Blues.
the only reason I brought that up is because apparently at age 20 he was the first goalie in NHL history to make the NHL from the juniors.
Wow.
What's up, Tony? How you doing? But he was the first. That's pretty insane.
Break for fist pumps.
But that's intense. That's pretty cool accomplishment. And now the Rangers have him back. He was with Columbus as he was in the president role over there too, or was he?
Yeah, and before that in St. Louis, by the team that drafted him.
So obviously he's got some experience.
Honestly, dude, this was the best person they could have hired.
Definitely.
Yes, they could have went with Yzerman, but Yzerman probably would have been like, yeah, no, I want to do literally everything. And
well, then Yzerman been like, no, you know what? Actually, I'm only going to make trades in Tampa.
I'm only going to make trades with Tampa, as I just realized I was like talking into the side of my mic for like the last 5 minutes.
But yeah, definitely, I agree with you. He's definitely a guy. He's been around the team for so long. I feel like he cares about the team.
And he's been through the rebuilding process in both St. Louis and Columbus, and which he entered each team at a very low point in the history of the franchise.
And also, if this wasn't kind of like, didn't seem like it was planned that he was going to come back to to the Rangers at some point, that the guy literally had a clause in his contract saying that
he only had an out for the Rangers.
He literally could leave if the Rangers offered him a position. So that's pretty.
You gotta love it.
That's just ridiculous.
Hey, dude, that's a true Ranger right there. True New York Ranger right there.
Absolutely hilarious.
I mean, really, it couldn't really have worked out any better.
So.
And I love the first thing. What are your thoughts on Panarin? Can't talk about him. I work for the Rangers now.
I love it.
Unlike, Magic Johnson, where he did what the hell was it about Paul George? Was it on whichever late night show it was, and he got fined like $500,000?
Oh, did he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, but yeah. Meanwhile, I got pissed because I'm a Lakers fan. But that's not tampering. You literally... If anybody else talks about it, there's no repercussions if a GM mentions his name. Just like, oh, yeah, we're going to fine you. But anyway, back to hockey.
Yeah, but that's stuff I'm looking forward to that. See what moves. See what he brings, Yeah. See what the Rangers, the
real question is, are they going to accelerate the rebuild or are they going to stay put with it? Never know.
That's true.
We'll get more into that after the draft, seeing what happens. Now, speaking of the draft, number 2 overall pick, most likely going to be our new Finnish lad, Kakko or Kakko, wins the gold medal at the World Championship.
Yeah,
plays like a beast.
He's a beast.
And now he's not attending the draft combine.
Yeah. So,
too busy partying.
And he's too busy celebrating that gold medal, so he was like, screw this, I don't need no combine, bro.
And fun fact, he was actually hanging out with another Rangers prospect, Joey Keane.
Oh, okay.
Who we drafted last year.
Sweet.
Defenseman. Can never have too many of them.
But, yeah, what a performance. Well, first of all, it's just hilarious that, to me, that Russia didn't win that tournament because they were absolutely stacked.
Yeah, and I was amazed the U.S. didn't do better either.
Yeah. And then, but even against Finland, looking at their roster, which we were looking up yesterday, and I heard some of the analysts say that they really don't have a lot of NHL guys on their team. They literally were not kidding. There's only like 2 of them that were actually... One of them actually is on Chicago.
Henry Jokiharju, right?
Yep.
No, you were right, though. At the beginning of that tournament, 0 NHL players on that roster. At the very beginning.
Yeah, and he absolutely crushed it at the tournament, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's a little bit different, that tournament, too. That's also a reason why I feel like the U.S. might not always do good at those tournaments, is because they're also skating on this big rink.
Yeah, and they're used to the smaller one, right?
So, yeah, and it's same thing with Kakko, not to throw him under the bus, but it'll be interesting. Like, you have way more space to make plays in a rink like that. So
yeah, very true.
Like, especially going up the side of the boards, you have more room to kind of get away from the defenseman.
Dude, I saw some of his clips him like just controlling the puck. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, he looks incredible. So it's definitely...
And don't forget the between the legs moves. I love that move.
Oh, yeah, he's filthy. So as Rangers fans, we want him, obviously, but we'll see what happens. Devils got to make that choice whether or not they want Hughes, but Hughes is going to be attending the combine. Not sure if that really makes a difference, but...
the Rangers already said it doesn't change how we view him, so...
Yeah, they already know what... does it really matter if he can't lift a certain amount? Like, if the guy's a beast, he's a beast. Who gives a shit? So...
I just got to bring this up real quick. Quick SpongeBob reference. You okay, Patrick? Finland.
That's right.
Still one of my all-time favorite.
And that's exactly.
SpongeBob
Pat
clips.
knew that they were going to win the championship.
No, he knew that the Rangers were going to get the second overall pick and pick a guy from Finland. He just didn't know his name was going to be Kakko. But Patrick on SpongeBob called it. You heard it here first.
Yeah, but in all honesty, though, it's going to be interesting just to see what happens at the draft, not only for who they get, but also like if they decide to make any trades, like you were saying earlier, potentially maybe they trade somebody like Pionk. Maybe there's been some rumors that they trade somebody like Kreider. And actually, speaking of
those rumors have been going on for like 3 years.
And one thing that we were just like, I was getting aggravated at over the last little while here is that these rumors with Erik Karlsson, because that's just to me, if the Rangers sign Erik Karlsson, that makes no sense whatsoever. Not to say that he's not good, because we know how he is when he's at his full potential. He's an absolute animal, but it just makes no sense. One, we don't need any more offensive defensemen.
Yeah, seriously, especially on the right side.
Also, we don't need a guy has that many injuries.
Yeah,
they got to just stay away from somebody like that.
Yeah.
So I can't see anybody that would agree that we don't actually. I won't say that, because if he wanted to take a deal where he's only getting paid like $3 million a season, which I doubt he would ever do.
No.
But unless they were going to get some insane deal like that, then maybe I'd say yes. And then
then trade him at the deadline for a complete haul.
But I don't know. For me, like, this guy never seems to be healthy anymore. So it's just, it wouldn't make any sense to get him.
No, it really wouldn't. And as much as you and I both love Erik Karlsson, if the Rangers sign him, we're just going to be so goddamn pissed.
And also, I'm just going to go ahead and blame Mike for the reason why he's been getting injured too, because he took a picture of him at the U.S. Open, and then he gets injured the next year, takes a picture with Subban,
gets injured
that next year, gets injured the next year. So if you're going to the U.S. Open this year, just please be aware of shades and don't take a picture with them, because you're going to get injured.
Please don't be Henrik Lundqvist. Wait till he retires, then I'll take a picture with you. I don't want you getting seriously injured.
But Mike's 2 for 2 at pictures of the U.S. Open, the guy getting hurt, so
with a
NHL
lengthy injury.
Yeah, exactly. So NHL guys, if you're at the Open, just please avoid this guy at all costs, especially if you're on the Rangers.
Unless you're not listening, and that.
Didn't say we didn't
it's your
warn.
own fault.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't say we didn't warn you. So yeah, that's all I had to say about Karlsson, but I had to bring that up too, because it's been floating around Rangerstown recently.
Had to get something off your chest. All right. Well, I mean, we talked about it a lot so far, and I just want to bring up, I forget what day it was this week, but earlier in the week, 5-year anniversary of New York Rangers advancing to the Stanley Cup Final for the first time in 20 years. I kind of just want to reminisce about this for a second.
Yeah,
Dude, I mean, like, literally, just that whole playoff run up to that point was just awesome. That was literally my 3rd season being a fan. I started watching in 2011, had no idea the team was good. That was just a pleasant surprise. And what a time. Dude, just what a time to be a fan. And just that series against Philly with Carcillo, him scoring that huge goal and then getting the finger from Philly fans. Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, the comeback against Pittsburgh. Oh, man, intense. And then St. Louis' mom, and then St. Louis scoring the goal. Fuck, it's just insane. And then,
Hank putting on an absolute clinic.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
In that Game 7. Oh,
yeah.
my God.
I mean, just putting on a clinic.
Dude, I still remember that one save where, I forget who it was, but somebody throws like a backhand or something. It goes off a stick that's just lying there, and then somehow magically just jumps up, and the puck lands on Lundqvist's groin. I'm like, bro, how? How?
Yeah, he had some absurd saves, like that one against Montreal, where like the puck deflected, and he just
off Girardi's stick,
freaking throws the stick and just swings
does
the
a twirl,
swings the blocker around, makes the save. Just
dude,
filthy.
I saw that live, and I was just like, that may have just been the greatest save I've ever seen.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Dude, I just remember watching that. I'm just like, I did not just see that. Yeah. I did not just see that.
In all honesty, I was listening to Spin Chicklets, and they had Mike Rupp on, and
oh boy.
Well, not to talk about Rupp but it just reminded me of goalies that were just filthy. But back in 2003 when the Devils played the Ducks in the Stanley Cup, that probably might be the best goaltending performance ever by Jaguar, because the guy literally won the Conn Smythe Trophy and lost the Stanley Cup. That's just disgusting. But
dude, I'm just saying, if the Rangers would have won in 2014 and Lundqvist would not have gotten the Conn Smythe, that would have been highway robbery 2.0.
Yeah.
But, they didn't. It was still really fun just being in the final that year. The double overtime games, just everything
all
was
those
just so
years
goddamn
grinded
intense.
it out against freaking Washington in the first or second round.
I
I
really freaking love how the year Washington didn't make the playoffs, we go to the final. The year we don't make the playoffs, Washington wins the fucking thing. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking, like, back then of that hypothetical, Brodor's first year in the league, we won the cup. That year was Brodor's last year in the league, and we were so goddamn close. So goddamn close.
Yeah.
And how could we forget Marty St. Louis, Game 4, top shelf, Dustin Tokarski. Oh, man, I celebrated that goal as soon as the puck hit the back of the net. Like, I celebrated so early that everyone I was in the room with was like, what the hell is it? Oh, crap, it's in.
Score! But,
I honestly think that might be my favorite overtime goal.
Yeah.
At least from a Ranger standpoint.
That or, I don't know, the step on Game 7 against Washington's pretty up there for me. That was pretty intense.
Yeah, the thing, like, St. Louis was trying to go top shelf so many times that series.
That's true.
I think that puts that goal over the top.
I mean, it puts it over the top only because his mom died and, like, they were really playing for him. So that, and the fact that he scored it was just intense. But the fact that we can put the next year that we made that 3-game comeback against Washington.
Oh, that was awesome, man.
And just to blow it, obviously, against Tampa. But other than that,
dude, even at the beginning of that season where we went to the Cup final, it's just like we started off that year horribly.
Mm-hmm.
That what was it? The Canada trip, where I didn't even see the game where they got murdered by San Jose. Vigneault after the game was just like, yeah, I don't know what that was. I don't have any answers.
Oh yeah,
for
that
it.
was the start of the season.
Yeah,
we got killed.
What's his name? Scored 4 goals.
Hurdle went through the legs on Marty Biron. Biron retired the game after, literally. I swear to God. But, oh, my God. Yeah, but.
Just Benoit Pouliot that season was just an animal for some reason.
Yeah, Rangers' depth players were intense that season.
And Dominic Moore, too.
Hell yeah.
Oh, Brian Boyle, Derek Dorsett, and Daniel Carcillo rotating on the fourth line. That was, oh, my God. Just so many guys you could just love as a fan. On that one team before Game 1 against LA, but I digress. and McDonough that season too just went off.
Yeah,
and he really didn't follow it up. But
no, he didn't. He only got worse from there.
Yeah, kinda.
But you want to move on to this year's Cup final? Now that we're on the Cup final.
Let's do it. Even though we missed like most of the second and third round because me and you were both working like maniacs.
I watched the games, but I didn't really, or I definitely saw the recap, but we didn't get a chance to record, unfortunately. But obviously we know the cups between St. Louis and Boston.
Yeah, I'm not gonna waste any time talking about the second and third round, but
I
would accept this. I just loved that Hurricanes swept the Islanders, who swept the Penguins. Just to get swept by the Bruins. I mean, are we ever going to see that again?
Probably not. I feel like we're never going to see the wild card, that like all those wild card teams really kill it like that. I feel like that's so rare.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. And hey, if it does, I'll be here. I'll be here for it.
At least recently, anyway. But obviously, we know what happened. Boston swept, like you said, just swept Carolina and make it to the Cup final. First time they've been in the Cup final since they lost to Chicago in 2013.
Yes.
But St. Louis, it's been 49 years since they've been in the Stanley Cup. And ironically enough, they played Boston, got swept.
Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
And they got swept
3 times in a row.
3 times, yeah, in a row.
In a row, 3 times in a row. So the other night was actually their first
Stanley Cup final win in history.
So franchise
franchise history.
So
And you got to admit, they played really good in game 2.
Yeah.
Game 1, they
just
played like shit. But
rewind it back. If you don't know, which I'm sure you already do if you're watching,
Spoilers.
they obviously beat the Sharks in 6
yeah.
to advance to the Cup final. Like we said,
And
first
like
time in 49 years.
Everybody on the Sharks was injured.
Yeah. I mean, but not that you really should credit anybody for destroying another team like with injuries, but St. Louis really went to town on their guys.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and we see that carry over with the series against Boston, but even when Columbus had their success against Boston, the reason for that was because they were playing so physical on Boston, and they almost just didn't respond. And St. Louis is doing the same thing. And so far through the first 2 games, honestly, they've been the more physical team. They've out-hit them. And also, they really done a sick job of shutting down that top line.
Yeah.
And they haven't done anything, that top line in Boston. Marchand scored the empty netter in game 1, but other than that, they haven't done much.
Tarasenko's on a roll right now.
Yeah, Tarasenko's on a roll. Shen, they're rolling. Maroon's throwing bodies.
Dude, I love Pat Maroon.
So...
And let's not forget Gunnarsson with that overtime
absolute
snipe.
cannon.
Great screen by Pietrangelo.
Yeah, and actually, I was watching on NHL Network today, and I didn't really realize it because, one, this is not, like, neither of these teams are my team, so I'm not going to, like, closely analyze a play, like, run it back,
seriously.
you know what I mean? So it was cool to see on NHL Network they actually had a guy, he was kind of like a stat guy, it wasn't Witt, it wasn't Ryan Whitney, but it was another dude. I actually have never seen him on NHL Network before, but he was saying how just in that overtime alone, Brandon Carlo had like 4 really awful turnover plays, like, or just bad hockey plays in a row in like a span of like a minute. And when you watch that highlight again, like he really did have some bad plays. Like,
you want to know who's had some bad plays? Marchand.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about him and Chara in a second.
Oh, boy.
But I wanted to just bring this up especially because it was kind of like the reason why they were so bad at the end of that in the start of the overtime. But Carlo had some bad plays, and you brought up Pietrangelo in
dominated
front.
That overtime.
He failed to like get the puck out. He made like a really bad pass, and then it ended up. That was part of the reason why St. Louis was able to get back in the zone so quickly. Then he took the tripping penalty in front, and then to top it off, he ended up creating this shooting lane for Gunnarsson because he was on Pietrangelo in front, and he tried to get to the guy on the wing, and he left Pietrangelo in front of the net wide open, which is obviously a brain fart defensively.
So he pulled a Jake Gardner, basically.
He just had a that was just a bad overtime for him. But not to single him out because Boston they just didn't show up in the third period. They just didn't show up that game, honestly. No. They really got dominated.
No, especially the overtime.
That was the only line that has showed up that I've seen from my vantage point on Boston is that 4th line. Those guys are playing out of their minds.
That's the Corrali.
Yeah,
line,
Corrali, right? Nordstrom, all those guys are playing unreal right now. Nordstrom had like 4 or 5 block shots. I was like, who's this guy think he is? Dan Girardi? This guy's out of his mind. He's out diving around. He blocked 4 shots on 1 power play. He was going crazy.
Yeah, I know. I'm literally just like screaming, just get a fucking shot through.
Yeah, I agree with you. To bring up Marchand, I mean, obviously he's not a defensive player as you've seen, but it's funny that he came across on that play, which ended up leading to the Tarasenko goal. That was just what a bad read, man. What was he doing? He came across on the other side of the ice. Like, listen, I know Chara can't skate. It's been pretty evident. If you watched the last game, if you're a Bruins fan, oh my God, dude, I'm not even a Bruins fan, and like it was like sickening watching Chara skate. He literally does not move, dude. It's like he's like skating like quicksand. He can't move.
Well, dude, he's like 40-something.
I know, but still, bro. Like, jeez, man. Like, Jágr can still skate, and he's 40-something. You can't use that as an excuse. But Jágr's like 400,000 years old.
Yeah, but Jaromir Jágr is in a category.
I know, but
I'm
just saying they can't use that as an excuse. Like, listen, I know the goddamn guy's old, but he's got to move his goddamn feet, dude.
True.
He looks like he has like stone skates on. But God, it's sound off on him. But but yeah, so far, I mean, Boston was definitely lucky. They had a slow start, which I guess everybody kind of figured they would in game 1 because of that big break that they had. But
then St. St. Louis just started taking penalty after
Yeah,
penalty.
in the second period, and
And
then to
Boston
me, I
just woke
thought
up.
Boston kind of woke up in the second and third in that game.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the next game 2, I just feel like St. Louis just straight up dominated them.
Yeah, no, they
I
did.
mean, they were possessing
especially
the puck more.
again in that overtime, it was literally all St.
And
Louis.
Gunnarsson hit the post at the end of the third. That
Yes,
should have
he
been the
did.
game anyway. But
and then did you hear about the story that came out about that?
Yeah. He said
Hits the post. Like they were taking a piss or something, and he said to Berube, "Just give me one more chance," and he fucking buries it.
He's a beast.
You gotta love it.
Yeah, that's just like, it doesn't even sound like a real story. It just sounds made up. That's how good it was. But yeah, man, that's
Dude, the best type of stories are the ones you can't make up.
yeah. And what's actually going back to the Cup final, we might as well give our opinions on this because why not?
Oh, I've had Boston winning.
I wasn't even gonna say the series, which we could do that as well. But I was actually just thinking about what you thought about Sundqvist getting suspended for the game.
Yeah, Oscar Sundqvist. Right?
Honestly,
Oscar?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I mean
that's
that's
suspended for one game on a or I don't want to say controversial hit.
Listen, it's one of those hits that's kind of like borderline. Could have been like blamed on who was it again? Grizzlick. He ends up getting nailed from behind from Sundqvist, and it was an interesting hit. It looked like Grizzlick was definitely trying to get out of the turn at the last second,
but then he
also kind of led with the elbow, so it's kind of like, it's kind of like a tough one. Like I get it. On the ice, they didn't give him a 5-minute major, which I thought that was a right call considering how close of a play it was. But I think at the same time, like,
because they didn't give him the 5 in the game, he got the suspension.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, like,
I mean, that's pretty much what happened.
For me, I just think that I get it. Like, yes, he turned into it, but at the same time, it's like
Grizzlick kind of lost his balance before the hit. You could see he was trying to turn, but then he hit both his skates along the boards, and he's just like, crap.
Yeah, it's tough because and then at that point, he's kind of just flying in to try to lay him out, so he can't slow down, and he just nails him from behind, elbow to the back of the head. His head hits the glass,
and he tries to get up and then goes right back down.
He just fell on the floor. So
I
knew that. Honestly, I thought they were gonna have to bring the stretcher out for him, but the way he fell, but. Yeah, they didn't have to bring the stretcher out, but he was definitely messed up from that, dude. He was beat up. So it was...
I don't know why this just popped into my head, but remember a couple years back, St. Louis and Chicago, Backus just got nailed by Seabrook, like right to the chin, and he got up. It was just like, he had no idea where he was, and he ended up being fine.
Yeah,
like
the
next
lucky. Game. But I don't think Grizzlick's going to be coming back, at least for this next game. I don't think anything officially has come out that I've seen.
I think they said they're putting in either Camphor or John Moore. And I literally...
Camphor.
I was...
This fucking guy.
Steven freaking Camphor. And then he played like one game against Columbus and scores a huge goal. I'm like, yeah, he never would have did that on the Rangers. No. Ever.
And he's going to end up winning the fucking cup if they win.
But
I actually...
Oh, dude, I'm like...
One thing...
I can't fucking stand Boston, especially the commercials the other night before the game. I was like, I kind of hated them, but those commercials took it to a whole new level. It's just like, I do not want this team anywhere near that fucking thing.
I'm pulling for St. Louis in this series. Not that they have anybody that I really like personally, but I mean, just...
Tarasenko.
You can get behind...
I love Schwartz, too.
You can get behind the story.
I like Shen.
Like I like their story. Obviously, they played so poorly at the start of the year. Last team in the league, January 3rd.
They also have a bunch of guys I love. O'Reilly, Bozak, I kind of like. Maroon, I love.
Yeah, Maroon's a beast. Plus, they have the fan.
And Perron, I like.
I don't remember her name, but the fan that had the cancer and she was like out of commission for like 3 months, and they've been like bringing her all the games.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's pretty sick.
That's awesome.
So they're all playing for her. I don't know if you saw that video with like Maroon. He said that to her like in the locker room. It was pretty sick.
I might have.
It was at the end when they made the cup. Like and they were like in the locker room. And he like came out and like he like went up to her and like he said it. I was like, my son Pat Maroon, what a beast.
Oh man, and all of it because Pat Maroon signed because his family lives in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Dude, that's just awesome. And now you're in the Cup final. It's like It really can't
Yeah,
get
he's
any
from
better.
he's from St. Louis
It
originally.
really can't get any better.
He grew up in St. Louis. So did Ben Bishop.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah. No.
But
Not Ben Bishop.
well, we
He's
talked about that.
irrelevant.
We talked about it in the last one where that was that sick picture with the flag in the background. But
I'm drawing a blank on that right now.
photographer caught them in the handshake line with the flag in the background.
Oh,
It was them two like handshaking, but they grew up like playing against each other in St. Louis. It's pretty sick. But yeah, man. So who do you think? What do you think so far? Like, what do you think about the series? Well, it's tough for us to really analyze it now, but
Well, I mean,
who did you think going into the series was
Boston.
going to win? I'm not going to lie. I think I would have picked Boston
no,
too.
because only reason they got past Toronto, they got past Columbus, and
Yeah.
they made the Hurricanes look. Well, they weathered the storm. Not to draw a pun or anything, but
no, I mean I agree with you. I think
the fact that they were able to get past Columbus, that really drew the line for me.
I really think
them being
I'm
my
going to take
favorite.
Boston. Even though I
not
really
my
like,
favorite in the sense that I'm rooting for, my favorite to win.
I really think that
I have
this
to
game's going to
clarify
go 7. The series is going to go 7.
that. I
I
honestly
picked-
think it might.
Yeah, I mean, unless St. Louis manages to just go off. But hey, listen,
Also,
all I know is that
Tuukka Rask is the best I've ever seen him play. Like this playoffs.
yeah, he's been playing great.
That's another major factor. And even though Binnington's been
Binnington
amazing.
hasn't. Yeah, and in all honesty though, he hasn't been like overly good
his team is just playing.
recently. But he's been like an interesting stat,
Yeah.
which was before the start of this series, and which I'm assuming he's probably hasn't gotten any better for him. But he had about an 870 save percentage when it came to like high offensive scoring chances, like below the circle. His save percentage was like 870.
Huh.
And the other night, I mean, it looked like he never played goalie before in the first period.
Yeah.
He just couldn't figure out how to make a save 5-hole, and Bruins took advantage of that. Some bad defense by St. Louis too, so they kind of hung him out to dry. But
No, but
that first one he should have had with Coyle through the legs from like the top of the point with no screen through the legs. That was a bad one. But I don't know if that's like a weakness that they're going to start shooting for now. But listen, even though he didn't have a good first period, he was big for them at the end of the game when they needed him to be.
yeah.
So
Yep.
that's kind of been the story for him. Like he's had his games where he's been phenomenal, and then there'll be his games where he gets lit up for like 4. That's why his goals against average is actually like over 3.
Really.
Yeah, like his save percentage is like 915. His goals against is like over 3. So yeah, I don't know if it's gone down since the start of the series. I don't think it has, but I mean, Rask definitely has the better numbers going into the series for sure. His save percentage is higher, and his goals against is way lower.
Oh yeah.
His goals against is like below 2, but he's been playing out of his mind. So that I don't, going into it, I don't really know. Like I think that I would kind of call like with the way that these guys have been playing, I would say it's kind of like an even slate on the goaltending end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Game 1 was all Boston. Game 2 was all St. Louis.
Yeah.
So let's see what game. Hopefully, the Blues carry the momentum into Game 3 and then
I think
pick
so.
up where they left off.
I think they can win the next game. Honestly, I think that they really need to just. A thing to keep in mind is that with that win the other night, they just ended Boston's 8-game winning streak.
Yeah.
So I feel like whenever you have like an insane winning streak like that, you're most probably going to lose a game or two.
Yeah.
So honestly, if I had to make a bet on the next game, I would bet St. Louis is going to win, because I just can't, like, I don't know if Boston's going to be able to bounce back from that last game that they just flat out got dominated at home. And it's only going to be worse in St. Louis. The only way that Boston's going to be able to win this next game is if Bergeron and those guys wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because they're getting flat out just destroyed. They can't do anything, dude. It's just like I don't know if it's that they don't have the space or whatever, but they just can't. They're just not getting it done. That's why right now that's why it ends up being funny. It was the same thing with the Rangers in 2014 too. That's why those fourth line guys were always so good, because they were good at just grinding and just possessing the puck. And that's exactly what Boston's fourth line has been able to do for them. They've actually been able to like rotate and cycle the puck and actually like get bodied and not lose the puck.
No, another thing I love about St. Louis, they don't take Boston shit. That's what I loved about Columbus too. They didn't take any shit.
Yeah, exactly. They don't. So Then and I would expect Marchand to do some dumb shit next game, like his usual shit, like slashing somebody in the back of the leg or being cheap. He's probably gonna try something like that next game.
Speaking
Don't
of
be
some
surprised.
dumb shit, Game 2, Shen gets called for slashing. Meanwhile, he did slash down on the stick, but the stick didn't break. The stick broke right after
The shot
the shot, and they called the penalty.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was a penalty, like when I first saw it, and then I watched the replay, and I was like, how the fuck? But whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. St. Louis won. And all I really have left to say for this episode of the podcast is, give me 2 wins in St. Louis by the Blues and play the living hell out of Gloria.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Even though I feel like a traitor for saying that I think the Bruins are going to win the series, I want St. Louis to win.
You and me both.
So,
all right. Well, you got anything else?
That's it.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed the episode, which I hope you did, because we were pretty energetic this episode, and I didn't even have my coffee. So
right.
we're off to a good start. Comeback, I should say, maybe?
Comeback. Yeah.
So, mini comeback. Anyway, give us a follow on Twitter at Backup Blue Pod. I'll admit my Twitter game's not too good, but, we'll keep you updated on opinions, definitely. What we're doing, sort of. We'll be at the draft party. Looking forward to it. You're coming with me, right?
I'm coming with them, apparently. When is it?
You better come. Friday, June 21st.
21st. All right.
I'm about to get shot down on the podcast right now. I have that feeling.
No, I know I have work, but it depends on when I'm working.
I have work that morning too.
I got to figure out when I have work.
All right. So give us a follow on Twitter. Go check us out on Podbean, and also I'm drawing a blank on and YouTube. Yeah, I did need the coffee. You're right. I got overconfident. All right. So YouTube and Podbean at Backup Blueshirts. Twitter, Backup Blue Pod. Hope you enjoyed, even though this is the 3rd time I'm repeating myself, and talk to you all hopefully next week. See you later.
Peace.